Let's talk about what we're doing to white people.
The great evil of this age is anti-whiteism that focuses all of its hatred and victimization on the white race.
Evil white racism, evil white racism. Look at this evil white racist.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Anna, and you're watching Anna Speaks Out. Thanks for being here. Would you like to stop giving away all your hard-earned money to woke and corrupt corporations that ship in all their products from China and are helping to bring about the Mark of the Beast agenda but don't know where else to go? Make sure that you stay tuned until the end of this video. So as the mother of the white male, it makes me a little bit concerned that my son is growing up in a society here in the United States, Southern California specifically, that has begun to see white people, and especially males, as a sort of lower class of society. You see this somewhat similar to Jim Crow laws back in the 50s and whatnot. White people today are being kept out of universities and employment if they have not met their quota of non-white people. There are so-called safe spaces on campuses that are only for non-white people, etc., etc. And the word racism or racist, etc., has even been redefined to falsely equate it solely with white people, which is clearly just objectively untrue. But something that is encouraging to me is that there have been more and more non-white people coming out and talking about this topic as well, in agreement with me. So here are some of those.
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people.
There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept. In the past decade, there has been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid, in the early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate, just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race. But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people.
This is a realization that I went through a while back too, and you guys know this from my story of realizing, oh, maybe leftism and wokeism is not for me, that you really can say or do anything to a white person without repercussion, and they have certainly fallen below on the hierarchy as far as being concerned about racial hatred or bigotry. You can direct all of your racial hatred and bigotry towards white people, and virtually nothing will be done about it.
Stu Peters tweeted probably a couple months ago, "Man calls for the extermination of white people live on C-SPAN."
And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that.
So this guy is apparently an author and owner of Blacknificent Books. But when I looked up Blacknificent Books on Google, thankfully the first thing I found is that it is permanently closed. Although they do have 3 5-star ratings. Over on Yelp, it's a 1-star rating from one person. I mean, thankfully, hardly anybody even knows who this weirdo is. So, but that is a positive thing, is that we can review things like this publicly, and people who were considering buying them can see other people's reviews and think twice about it. So that's something positive that we can do when we see stuff like this. I also found this review on one of his books on books.google.com. Racist vile literature from a quickpot, I don't know what that means, wannabe African who could easily move back to Africa but won't. And then you see what the last part says. It says 2 reviews, And there's a 1-star rating on here. I just can't even find the other review though. But apparently the book is called You Should Be Ashamed of Your Nice But Duped Parents Part 2. It just looks like totally bizarre. A strange man. This next clip is a summary from the YouTube channel Actual Justice Warrior that goes over a case that occurred at a university that seems to me to have been a racial hate crime perpetrated by a black person against a white person. And in this situation, the school board at the university actually stood behind the perpetrator. So check that out.
So this is one of the many viral videos of the supposedly evil white racist person threatening a group of innocent Black Lives Matter protesters with running them over just because she's an evil white racist. And when these protesters stood up for their civil rights, when they stood up to this woman who was harking back to Charlottesville, she cried and she called the police, not following through on her evil white racism, look at this evil white racist. But the thing is, what you'll notice about this video and all of the videos and all of the so-called evidence that this young woman in the car is this evil white racist who threatened protesters is that none of them, and I mean none of them, actually contain the alleged threat that was made against these protesters. In fact, what we ended up finding out after 3 years in this amazing article put out by Reason is that not only were these threats never made, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for what went down, and the school found over and over and over again that this person in the car did absolutely nothing wrong and continued to punish her anyway because they believed that we were at a cultural and political time that was significant, so it was important to ruin this poor girl's life.
All of that having been said, I'm going to leave you with a resource that will help you to learn how to effectively respond to these anti-white people and the anti-white agenda overall. Basically, the specific type of terminology that you should use or not use in order to have effective responses to these types of situations and attitudes.
Okay. What's up, taters? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com, and I'm here with my special guest, Jason Kuna.
Mm-hmm.
I said it right.
You did.
Yes.
Wow, I said that so incorrectly the last time that I tried to pronounce it. I guess I must be racist against Jason because I can't even pronounce his last name correctly. You know that's the thing, right? Like, if you can't pronounce somebody's name correctly, it's a microaggression. So I'm sorry. I have a lot to learn. Here is Jason Kone. Hopefully I said the last name correctly.
Jason Kuna?
From the channel No White Guilt.
I want to let you guys know that I have known of Jason for several years. So, Jason, thank you so much. Go ahead and tell everybody tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful to be here with you, finally able to talk on a stream with Tree of Logic. We've talked back and forth, but never on a stream, so it's great to be here.
Yeah.
So I'm Jason Kuna, otherwise known as No White Guilt. I'm in service to white well-being for 3 decades. I've written books, given speeches, thousands of speeches, it seems, at meetings, conferences in multiple continents, and here to spread the reality, at least as we argue it, that the great evil of this age is anti-whiteism that focuses all of its hatred and victimization on the white race, and as a consequence harms everybody across the West by way of that victimization. And so that sort of in a nutshell is the quickest way I can deliver who and what I am. And you can find me at nowhiteguilt.org. You don't come here for the fluff. You come here for the answers.
Now, regarding what I asked you about at the beginning, about wanting to find a better place to shop. So we all need to shop for daily essentials like toothpaste, deodorant, dish soap, laundry detergent, etc. But I'm curious if you knew these facts that I'm about to share with you about a few of the most common stores that most of us tend to shop at. Target profits off of selling compression tops, which are designed to bind the breasts of women who believe that they are men. Binding can lead to chest and back pain, rib bruising and fractures, shortness of breath, overheating, and skin damage. Walmart's Walton family has funneled millions into LGBT activist causes, including drag shows for children. And Amazon has said that they will reimburse U.S. employees who travel for abortions. There is an actual medical condition called post-abortion stress syndrome. I have found such a better place to shop that actually aligns with my values. Do you want to know what it is? I'll see you in the comments. Thank you again so much for being here today. Since you liked the video enough to make it all the way to the end, don't forget to click on the thumbs up and share with somebody else who would also find it interesting.